The space legs are here, and like a proud mother with tons of afterbirth finally delivering the baby after what seems to be years of pregnancy, well, the baby kinda looks like shit. However, after cleaning up with a mop, what does this new addition to Elite Dangerous gives us? Is it good? Is it bad? Does it actually justify the €35 or $40 price tag that Frontier has slapped onto it? Let's find out. And finding out we do with, well, the sales pitch. What do we get for the price of a single spaceship in Star Citizen or the whole No Man's Sky on sale? Or insert any other half-decent but not AAA game here. With Odyssey, finally players get the coveted space legs, ability to take an industrial-grade solvent and unstick their butts from the pilot's seats and experience an actual body on planets and space stations. This of course includes weapons, killing, shooting, murdering, as well as some less exciting and totally not boring gameplay bits like cutting open panels, scanning people when they're not looking, cutting open panels, shooting your taser, looking at space plants like a retarded chimp. Oh, and utterly getting fucked in the ass by anyone not on the legs.
Enemy reinforcements are coming in hot.
Alongside space legs, the graphical improvements have been made, so that now if you look from the space legs perspective, shit don't look like it's from 1990s. Planet tech has been changed as well, and herein lies the interesting thing. On PC, people, fucking plebs who did not purchase Odyssey will not be getting visual improvements. And on top of that revelation, would not be able to play with those people who bought Odyssey and are playing in that mode. Well, at least for the next 6 months till the console version. Optimizations have been made. Then developers say, oh, sure, we'll try to rejoin both versions. Probably. Okay, fine. I trust Frontier to be capable of eventually delivering this. So for the next 6-month period, it will be quite bizarre when you can land on a planet on Odyssey and then switch to Horizons and see the same planet completely differently. On one hand, it's a pretty cool revisit that allows you to compare planets. However, the new planet tech has already been noted during the pre-order deluxe version alpha period that planets lacked canyons and more unique geographical features that explorers and planet junkies have come to love and search for. Planet tech has also gotten less interesting and more homogeneous. Some would even call this a downgrade. And now on the launch it's noticeable that also colors have gone bizarre, that whites are whiter and blacks are blacker. Just look at an Earth-like planet. It practically glows. So basically that means that someone let their baby play with the gamma wheel a bit too much, because this thing's far worse looking. Then we turn to the space legs themselves, the movement. Oh, the movement is wonderful. I like to describe acceleration, deceleration, and vectoring of the character as soft and comfortable. It really hits that space environment cushioniness perfectly. However, when you're in higher gravity planets, it does not change the speed of your character's actions, except for the jump height and fall speed. Are you seriously gonna tell me that now you can reload a magazine that weighs a kilo just as fast as when it's weightless? But that minor detail aside, the aforementioned placenta-dripping newborn, the FPS portion, well, now that I can summarize in one phrase, and that's basic foundation level. Fuck me, 10 ways up a shit creek, where do I start? Okay, so visually weapons look like toys. Most sound effects seem incredibly simplistic or downright boring and bland. Shooting mechanics work, and that's the best thing I can say about them. Weapon switching is like a baby's first attempt at coding, and guess what? You'll be enjoying a lot of it because, for some fucking godforsaken reason, they gave feet people personal shields.
But TheYamiks, you were PlanetSide 2 content creator before Elite, and you played Vanu of all factions. That game looks incredibly similar to Space Legs. How's the shield bad here and not in a PlanetSide where it's good, apparently?
Oh, yeah. Well, what if I told you that the feet people will inherit the same type of resistance separation of damage that the ships have? So, for shields, thermal weapons do more damage and less to health. But the kinetics are exactly the opposite, as are explosives. Now imagine that those resistances have been tuned by an orangutan overdosing on ecstasy and spastically smashing the keyboard. Basically, the FPS gameplay, not even counting the pathetic excuse that is recall pattern or gun control, is an idiotic game of rock, paper, scissors where to do actual damage you better use the damage appropriate weapons, otherwise good luck doing any significant damage. Okay, so here's a gameplay example. You first pull out a thermal weapon to take down the shields. Then you pull out a kinetic weapon when the shields drop to kill the son of a bitch. But wait! The fucking shields! Again, unlike in PlanetSide 2, which has similar looking gameplay and principles, after a few seconds, come halfway back on! Not start regenerating from zero and then stop once getting hit. No, it's halfway straight away and regenerates as it goes. So now you need to do the Roshan fuck you again, because weapons, at least without engineering, do shit damage even to non-engineered troops, let alone players that know what cover means. Then it's a war of attrition. So hope you enjoy using the clunky and slow weapon switching, cause you'll be doing a shit ton of it! Especially considering that switching to pistol is just as fast in or out. Then of course we have plasma weapons, which have half and half damage types. So that makes you wonder, why would you even bother with anything that is non-plasma? And you won't! The weapon shops are incredibly simplistic. The only saving grace is that we can have weapon and suit loadouts, but then again we're in the dark about 99% of the stats. Then when you just simply want to kill a whole base of NPCs, once you've done it, in some of the cases, game simply says, fuck you, I'm gonna spawn an infinite group of troops to stop you doing this. The gun iron sights, if you can call them that, or rather the pathetic hobo's red dot is light brown. Who puts a light brown color as red dot sight? Have these people never handled weapon? And laughingly saddest thing is that basically weapons have no stats in any of the menus. I shit you not.
Oh my god, how much more is there?
Oh, I'm just warming up.
Just get to the point.
Fine. I said that FPS is basic foundation level, and by this I don't mean anything positive. If you thought the Frontier added an actual FPS game to Elite Dangerous, then you'll be highly disappointed, as this is basically an FPS gameplay model that anyone makes as the base starting line, onto which they bolt on actual gameplay elements and unique game-defining features. This is the kind of amalgamation of mechanics that you make before actually start designing an FPS portion for your game. This is the foundation of the gameplay, not the gameplay itself. Though one thing I gotta express, the frontline solution thing, the one where you sign up and we'll fly you to our team deathmatch with Respawn, is a great way to have a casual fun, if there was any interesting FPS gameplay to speak of, and not just a test bed for actual game. So maybe then we can find some feat gameplay somewhere else. How about that other new elite rank that is supposed to represent a new gameplay, exobiology? Well, tough luck you cunts, after the Alpha Deluxe treatment version, people had such a negative reaction, and rightfully so, to the minigame, developers decided to completely remove it. Now, if you're interested as to what was the gameplay, well, on the screen it is. It's a simple reaction-based minigame of matching circles. That's the gameplay. That gameplay was supposed to have its own elite rank. Let me repeat that. An elite rank in matching circles. Now, if that alone doesn't sound mentally deficient as is, the funniest thing is, the reaction-based gameplay was someone's best idea for players that exclusively don't do any reaction or skill-based gameplay. The explorers! What the fuck were designers thinking? And why, of all things, it needed its own elite rank? Maybe next we could get an elite rank in opening cargo hatch, or maybe elite rank in deploying SRV. However, now exobiology gameplay will be basically this. And now this is going to have its own elite rank. An indicator of how much you've stood around and looked at a plant for a few seconds. Am I the only one who's smelling a minimum viable product being dressed up in fake horse costume here? Oh, but not to end this scrambled chicken menstruation buffet. The biggest problems are yet to appear. How about the actual gameplay loop for the space legs? The leg enhancements, the engineering 3.0. Or rather, back to 1.0. Hey, you want to upgrade your gun? Well, get the material just like for your ships. Sounds easy enough. Well, first there is completely new set of materials with different names you must grind. Oh, but unlike with SRV back in the day, you can only carry a limited amount of these materials at one time. So hope you love running back and forth to your ship or SRV to deposit upwards of 1,000 of them across 3 categories. Not each separate 100 to 300 slots, 1,000 for all within one category. My god, they're not even separating materials for the more capacity like what was specifically done back in the day due to massive grind on ships. They're reverting to original engineering model of very minimal space for the parts, so that you need to constantly go back and forth between trips and upgrades. Back and forth to the ship and the base with feet, back and forth to engineer with the ship for upgrades, back and forth. Man, if this motion was a porn act, it'd be classified as erectile dysfunction challenge. And of course, as is tradition with engineering and Elite Dangerous as a whole, upgrades take a lot of grinding, so hopefully you didn't expect designers of Odyssey to take pity on the players and put in effort with the good gameplay, instead of spamming grind. What's even worse, once you grind to unlock a suit or weapon slot, you need to grind to get the actual upgrade you want, and once that's installed, there is no taking it off. I shit you not, an FPS game where an attachment for any normal game would be normally removable and swappable between compatible weapons, in Elite Dangerous are glued on with the fucking Gorilla Glue. Yes, you can't even remove them by destroying like you can on normal ship weapons, and their engineering. So if you accidentally fucked up, guess what? The weapon goes into the dumpster, so grind again. Even if you want slightly different build, grind bitch, grind! So not only these assholes are ignoring the past and how much everyone hated the old engineering, but going a step forward, they're adding extra layers of time wasting. This is not idiotic, this is malicious design, only beaten by the pay-to-win mobile games. But hey, at the very least, maybe the upgrades are worth it, right? Oh boy, I'd love to give you an answer to that question. However, you remember a few paragraphs back when I said that there aren't any stats for guns to speak of? Well, fuck you again, because there aren't any stats or even a sliver of information of what these upgrades do. So you better go to the village crack dealer, Suits here, and ask them, because this shit makes less sense than other kin communities. But this, somehow, is still not all. To think that this kind of release was planned originally at the end of 2020 just worries me. Yes, COVID hit and that delayed things. In fact, I support delays a lot. But to think that this was the best they wanted to present back then does not raise confidence content-wise. There are things that frankly beg the question of why? Why not include this? See, almost at the start we learned that there would be no ship interiors in Odyssey, meaning that you would be playing either as a ship pilot or on foot outside of the ship only, and there would be no walking inside. This, also, rightfully so, was a massive disappointment to everyone. Up until Space Legs, the only way we would be able to see inside of our ships a little bit was VR, and oh yeah, right, also in Odyssey there is no VR support for the Legs gameplay as well, so have fun with that. People expected that once we get the illustrious Space Legs, the first thing we would get is walking aboard our ships. The vehicles we've grown to both love and live in so much, it was almost like a writing on the wall that this would be the first feature we get as the Space Legs. But developers decided against it for some reason, despite Braven saying this back in 2012.
Another example that we've built into the structure of the game is ship interiors. Now, a lot of people have seen, you've seen that we're designing all the ships with the interiors in mind, how the cargo is unloaded, all of that sort of thing, how damage occurs. And that's because that another thing that we are doing, again down the line, is that you will be able to walk around inside your ship, you'll be able to get out of your ship, walk around inside space stations, other vehicles, all of that sort of thing.
Funny that some of the PR team tried to pivot this lack of interior walking feature with this kind of argument.
We understand some people may have wanted to have the full ship interiors, but I will go back to what we've already discussed. Everything done with Odyssey is purely based around longevity of gameplay and stuff like the sheer scale of these ships to sort of. It would be fun, in my opinion, and I'm happy to be at odds with different people in the chat, which I'm sure I will be. It would be fun to run up the steps the first 5, 6, 7 times, but then after you've done that 1,000 times, you're probably going to be a little bit more, I just need to get into my ship. And especially if you are leaving someplace in a hurry in a big ship, you probably wouldn't want to be spending 10 minutes running down the corridors as people are laying into your ship. So a lot of this stuff is done to enhance the gameplay and to focus on really those core gameplay loops which we spoke about. But for me, I think it's something I'm used to, and it's there. You've seen it now.
Now, I'm not ripping into community manager team here, they are just messengers, but designers, producers, game directors, and even Brayman himself, what the fuck are you guys thinking? Have you no insight or understanding into Elite's community? Are you this incredibly disconnected that the most notable aspect of the game, the immersion and experience, is not good enough of a reason to make more immersive and experiential gameplay? It's like a chef saying, yeah, I know I make a killer steak, but you know what my steakhouse would really need? My wife's undercooked vegan bacon with side dish of pumpkin and beet smoothie. Yeah, I'm trying to reach new audiences, you guys. And before you snarky pricks say, yes, walking inside your ship and doing nothing is gameplay, like it or not. But even that aside, there is no EVA, so literally you can get out of your ship only on planets or stations, not including fleet carriers, which in of itself is also a weird choice. See, I'm a long-time shooter game fan, it's my forte of all games, but even I recognize Elite's strengths that need to be developed and what certainly should not. So it confuses me more when I see a company that likes being a company so much that they're willing to sell their proverbial children to the coal mines, yet all of a sudden decides not to do that. Well, not in a direct way anyways. By this amazing analogy, I mean that they had perfect timing for release on the next-gen consoles. Instead, however, they plan to release a few months after, and on top, instead of making a proper console version with optimizations for them, completely relied on the console makers doing all the work with the backwards compatibility to make their game playable. Which is why in all the ads and videos you don't see the next-gen consoles, but instead PS4 and Xbone only. And I get that COVID hit everyone, but this was clear before that shit hit the fan, not after. And then we come to the PC and the question of why is this getting an earlier release, about 6 months before the consoles do. And on top of that question, there's also why Horizon's version is being split away from the Odyssey that I mentioned before. Answer? Well, one version is that on PC they separated them because Frontier wants that money from the people before giving the graphics update as a free thing to Horizons in the 6 months. But I doubt that myself. More likely answer here is consoles, or rather that the PS4 and Xbox can't handle the unoptimized overbloated update, while in general PCs can, so they get to play this unfinished, unpolished third as beta testers for the next 6 months, before the actual quality of the product is being delivered. I really hate when companies do this shit. I'd rather take a delay and get a properly delivered quality product, not this bullshit. So most of this partly was prepared before the launch, but I could have never guessed how bad it would be. So basically Odyssey got released. No, not broken, but unfinished. That the crucial step of development, the very last thing you perform, the optimization, was completely skipped, so that Frontier arguably could release this thing for their shit fiscal year. Now for the next 6 months they will finish the initial development. I mean, people complain about fixing the game, but the thing is, how can you fix something when it's not been developed in the first place? Steam reviews flooded, and at the time of writing it's sitting at a 3,100 reviews with 31% positive. Lowest ever score for any of the Frontier products. A community statement for the absolute travesty and sheer greedy jizzing that some fuckstain in executive and management positions forced upon the hard-working developers, their work, and the community itself. Frontier Developments has truly become a complete company. Fuck the customer, fuck the employee, fuck the product. Give us your money! And from the crowd, someone yells, but Elite is David Braben's baby! They will fix it eventually! Well then let's address this to the man himself. Hey Braben! They dropped your baby! Your baby's on the floor, Braben! The fucking baby's on the floor and not flopping anymore like a fish! It's dead, man! They're killing your fucking baby, man! Or wait, was it you who dropped it in the first place, man? What the fuck is going on? Now, not to make another mega tirade. Today, I'll stop here. But worry not, a massive hypercritical review will be coming for Odyssey. Well, once TheYamiks gets around doing the part 3 of the series, anyways. In the meantime, how would I judge Odyssey here on the launch? Well, it's space legs, better quality textures, models, lighting in some parts, sound design always a hit and miss, unlike other updates, but still, if all you wanted was to just walk around, maybe do some ultra casual space pew-pews without moving your brain cells too much, yeah, any price would probably be worth it. But in the next 6 or so months till the console launch, developers will be doing what they should have been doing before the launch, and performance will slowly improve at best. So unless you want to really be a beta tester, I straight away can tell you, avoid this till all clear from majority of the media. On top, Planet Tech feels like a downgrade, UI feels like a downgrade, colors are shifted and feel like a downgrade, new engineering is a malicious inbred offspring like the royal family, but even then, when the expansion's not wheezing like a dying animal anymore, for me, someone who loves FPS games the most, and oddly is a creator for a space sim type of a game, I'm seeing both sides of the fence. I'm still asking the question, who is this expansion for? No, seriously, who is this for? Exploration aspect of the space legs basically has been reduced to a glorified standing and staring intensely at the plant until developers decide on a new minigame, if at all. combat being the most developed aspect, aside from the fucking grind that is engineering, would probably be the biggest draw for those that really don't want a spaceship game but would like an FPS. So for those people, the FPS model, mechanics, details and polish are all too basic and boring. As said, it's foundation level where you actually start building unique gameplay. But Frontier thought that it was good enough to stay at the foundation level. For $40 on expansion alone and the $30 for the base game if you don't have it, unless of course you buy a bundle, you know, for $70 you can pick up literally any popular and well-polished game. Hell, even $40 is enough, rather than participating in this baby's first attempt at making a Unity asset flip shooter. So no, it's not good enough to bring in even the casual market. What then is left is the existing players, but half probably don't care about shooting stuff on foot, when ships and SRVs especially are obliterating anything with 2 legs in a pea shooter, and those that give a fuck, like me, are met with the same foundation level FPS that has nothing interesting or unique to offer. NPCs have artificial brain death, weapon damage and shield balance are handled by a chimp, so that an even casual player will find it interesting, unless they grind engineering. So for existing players, I doubt that this expansion is aimed for as well. So thereon comes the question, who is this for? For people who like graphics updates and a few more planets to land on? Maybe walk a few steps outside the ship and again have that visual testicle? Is that it? Or does Frontier really think that the people are so eager that the best selling point is the motherfucking grind? Where you don't even know what the fuck the upgrades give you? How about story then? You mean the aspect that was neglected a lot by Elite through the years without a sign of changing? Considering that also most of the time the story is usually relegated to, well, these canon guys will solve it and creators will make videos, so let's just sit back and wait. I doubt that anything on Odyssey will change on that front either. Frankly speaking, Horizons is supposed to get Odyssey graphics updates anyhow, so what's left in the end feels like a half-cooked steak with a premium price. Complete, minimum viable product that may one day justify a discount on a Steam sale. But as is, especially on PC and the rushed release, it's nothing more than just a beta for console release, when the actual value and actual polish of the product may come to shine. Still, if you always wanted to experience the space legs, yes, it's a powerful experience which unfortunately is ruined by the Armstrong moment, no ship interiors or EVA. A collection of barely started features and grind. Oh god, is this how I'm ending this? But otherwise now I guess all that's left is just to await the hypercritical review later down the line. So as always, do subscribe, and hey, if you want to support the content, always check out the Patreon link down below.